Thank you for joining us at our Prestige PEO webinar series. My name is Carrie Kaiser. I'm Senior Marketing Operations and Event Specialist at Prestige PEO and your host this morning. We're excited to introduce you to a new benefit called Monument. Monument is an online program for anyone looking to change their relationship with alcohol. Joining me today from Monument are Dan Erdstad, Chief Commercial Officer, and Zach Rogers, Director of Partnerships. Our webinar audience members are muted by default. However, we encourage you to make use of the chat feature to pose any questions you may have. We will try our best to address these questions as they come through. Additionally, the webinar is being recorded and will be made available on our website at prestigepeo.com/webinars. And now we'll get started with the webinar. Welcome, Dan and Zach.
Thank you so much, Carrie. It's our pleasure to be here today. So as you said, and our titles are on the screen, but just to give you a little bit more context, Zach and I lead our commercial team and partnerships team at Monument. We work very closely with our payer partners, including most of the major commercial carriers, but really the focus and the crux of our work day to day is working with leading employers, or in this case, Prestige PEO or organizations that support, employee populations. And we're really thrilled to speak to you today. I can move forward to the agenda so you can get a sense of what we're going to cover. So first, we'll do a little bit more of an in-depth introduction on what is Monument. We'll then take a step back and talk about the bigger picture. What are some of the trends that are happening around how people are changing their relationship with alcohol. We'll talk then about our approach, how we built the program, the different care pathways, and then what it actually looks like to get started. Just to repeat and reinforce a few things that Carrie said at the top, participants are muted. If you do type in questions, we will try to address them through the course of the presentation, but we will have time at the end for questions before we wrap up. And then this will be available in the future. So with that, we can jump right in. So, what is Monument? We're a platform that empowers anyone to cut back or quit drinking alcohol. We're 100% virtual, so it's entirely accessible via our web app, which someone can access via their phone, their desktop, their tablet, and we're covered by most major insurers. One of the things that we're going to come back to repeatedly through the course of the presentation is this idea that moderation or just cutting back from your drinking can be the appropriate endpoint for some individuals. And this is something that represents a very big change in terms of how we think about treating unhealthy alcohol use or alcohol use disorder, as it's termed by the DSM-5. So a little bit more context as to why we are here. The reality is that unhealthy alcohol use impacts millions of people. It's upwards, based on the latest data from 2022, it's estimated that about 30 million people in the US on an annual basis would categorize as having alcohol use disorder. And despite the fact it is this widespread problem, only about an estimated about 5%, in some cases, studies show it's even lower than that, but roughly about 5% of people who struggle with alcohol use disorder are actually getting the treatment that they need. And one of the things that's driving this is that treatment approaches, unfortunately, are very outdated. We still live in a culture where we think about unhealthy alcohol use as something that is very binary. Either it's something that you can sort of be okay with your drinking, or it rises to the level of a crisis that requires inpatient treatment or detox treatment. And this is a scenario that our founder, Mike Russell, who founded Monument and is still our CEO, that he confronted when he was trying to change his drinking. He found a very, very rigid treatment paradigm. And that's what inspired him to start the company. It's what inspires us every day as a business. And the final thing I think that's really relevant to hit on, and this is something that can be often challenging to confront, but the reality is that alcohol is intertwined in our work lives. Unlike any other substance, it is something that is part of our careers and our work experience, whether we are part of a sales organization or whether we're at a team offsite or at a holiday party. Alcohol plays a role in our work culture today, and that's not anything that's going to change, but a large part of what we're trying to do at Monument is to re-examine the relationship that we have with alcohol in our lives, and that includes in work settings. So with that background, I'm going to step back and actually look a little bit more at the bigger picture and some of the trends and some of the ways to think about alcohol use that may be surprising or a better way to start thinking about this topic and this challenge. So one thing that is clear through lots of data, lots of clinical studies, is that alcohol has a huge impact on our physical health and wellness. One thing that is incredibly important that alcohol impacts is our heart health. It's been demonstrated that even one drink per day can be tied to higher blood pressure. In addition, there's lots of studies now demonstrating that alcohol plays a role in cancer risk. It is linked to higher cancer risk, including breast cancer, other types of cancer. But this is something that's pretty well established. And we're starting to see more awareness about these unfortunate risks that are tied to alcohol use. But in addition, it also affects our mental health. Drinking is very closely tied to our mental health and wellness. We know that alcohol is a major disruptor of our sleep architecture. And so the whole idea, the notion of having a nightcap and drinking in the evening, it can actually lead to very poor sleep, which leads to unproductive days, being tired, and sleep is honestly so central to our overall health and wellness. Instead of getting further into some of the studies, I pulled a quote from the actor Tom Holland of Spider-Man fame and other movies you might know. And I think his words that he was very open and courageous in sharing when he became sober are really encouraging. I'll read them really quickly. But he said he could sleep better, he could handle problems better, things that would go wrong on set, he could take in stride. It was about mental clarity and he felt healthier. So I think his words are emblematic of what we're talking about here. And while for Tom Holland, it may be a movie set, someplace, across the globe, for others, it could be the office place, in the New York area where I'm based or someplace else. So the ideas he's talking about are applicable to worksite employees and those within PrestigePEO or other organizations that we partner with. But what's encouraging, in addition, and building off of that experience I shared with Tom Holland, is that we are seeing some shifts in behavior. There's some really encouraging data that we saw of dry January this year. About 25% of adults who drink alcohol successfully completed dry January in 2024. That was up from 16% in 2023. So what we're seeing year over year is that more people are aware of the fact that alcohol impacts their health and wellness. So they're starting to look at what it could be, mean to be sober curious and so on. So data now is demonstrating that about 40% of U.S. respondents closely or occasionally follow a sober curious lifestyle. Again, really encouraging data that there is more widespread awareness about the risks that are associated with unhealthy alcohol use. And one other trend I think that we're watching really carefully, and again, this is reflective of how there's greater knowledge and understanding of the risks of alcohol use, is that there's this emergence of NA brands. It was recently reported in the Wall Street Journal that Athletic Brewing is now the leading beer, whether it's alcoholic or not, being sold at Whole Foods today. And the growth of this category, it just creates more awareness and conversation, which is really healthy for everyone. So with that, I've established a bit of a bigger picture and some of the trends that are happening in the space. I'm going to now dive into the monument approach and what it is that is the hallmark of our program. What it really comes down to is this idea of giving every individual a pathway. And the reality is that alcohol impacts people along the whole spectrum. It's not just black and white. There are shades of gray as to how someone would have an unhealthy relationship with alcohol. And the reality is that one size fits all approaches exclude many people. Our goal is to really break that down and to offer a starting point no matter where someone is in their journey. And there's a few different ways that we do that. There are 3 care pathways within the Monument program. And again, all of this can be accessed virtually through the Monument app. The first care pathway is therapy. We have a provider network of therapists, master's level therapists, who have experience in motivational interviewing, cognitive behavioral therapy. They can meet with each of our members and explore what may be the underlying trauma or the triggers or the challenges that they're facing and trying to understand how their unhealthy alcohol use is tied to their mental health. So the therapists work on that programming and typically partner with our members on a biweekly or weekly basis, scheduling ongoing appointments. The second care pathway is physician care. We have family medicine doctors on the platform who have specialized in addiction medicine. And so they have experience prescribing medications like naltrexone, disulfiram. And largely the physician's role is to talk to our members about, whether they would be clinically appropriate for one of these medications and what it would be like to start one of these medications. It's an unfortunate reality that naltrexone and disulfiram are a class of medications. They are generic. They are a once daily pill, very, very simple medications to take. They just don't have a lot of awareness, unfortunately. But we have found through our program that medication has been many of our members have been very successful starting medication. The final care pathways community. The community includes a variety of different ways that members can learn and engage with their peers and get that very important peer support that is essential to a successful recovery journey. So some of the aspects within the community to call out are self-guided resources. We have content that members can consume, and they can learn about what are the steps that will happen that impact their physical health and mental health as they start to look at changing their relationship with alcohol. We also have a series of Monument Live events. This is where we bring on clinical experts, SMEs, other types of speakers. In some cases, in the past, we've had Daryl Strawberry, one of the Real Housewives of New York, came on to talk about their journey. So the goal here is to provide a different set of perspectives in an engaging forum where our members can learn about others' journeys and how they've gotten into recovery for alcohol use. And then finally, we have anonymous support groups. These are groups that are led by one of our therapists. They're groups that can be joined anonymously. You create a username and sign up, and that username is what shows up if you are a member joining one of those groups. And in that way, we've tried to make it very, very easy for our members to engage, again, without that fear of stigma or judgment when they're starting the journey. Our groups include groups for men, for women, for veterans. We have groups covering a whole range of topics and also some that are segmented based on demographics, because that's a way that some people like to engage. Now, the last thing to note about this slide is that across these three care pathways, we've really afforded our members great flexibility. You do not need to sign up for 1, 2, or 3 of these options. It really is up to each member what suits their needs in that moment that they join Monument. So you could join Monument just to partake in the community, just therapy, or just physician care. It really is up to the individual. And in terms of where we are today from an outcomes perspective, we're really proud of the growth that we demonstrated since we launched in 2020. So in under 4 years of being live, we've helped over 100,000 individuals across our community and those who've received treatment. 95% of our members are engaged at 34 days, which is a key benchmark in terms of looking at engagement in alcohol treatment. On average, it's about 5 days from sign up to first appointment, but oftentimes members can have an appointment within a day or two. And I should note that the community-based resources are available instantaneously. The second that someone signs up, they can access our community and get those resources. And from a member satisfaction standpoint, we're at a 4.8 out of 5-star on our reviews, and this is from thousands of reviews after support groups attended and also clinician visits by our members. So the last section I'm going to get into is just getting started, what it actually looks like to log into Monument and those first steps in the experience, and also one of the benefits that we are affording to and offering to Prestige PEO worksite employees. So it's a very, very simple login process, just a few screens to enter your email, the state where you're located. As I said, I'm based in New York, but we are available across many states. And then there's a choice of booking an appointment or starting with community only. As I said, this is something we afford our members that optionality to decide where they want to start. And there's always an option to go back and change that within the member app and once they're set up. There's then a step of submitting benefits. We are in network with most major carriers, Aetna, United, others that are not listed here, but I think would not be as applicable to PrestigePEO, but we also work with Cigna, we also work with Anthem and so on, but we have extensive insurance coverage. So this is a very simple step where a member submits their benefits. And then we've created an automated check where instantaneously or immediately, we will be able to show the benefits for an individual. If there's any question about those benefits in real time, our member care team and our insurance team takes about 24 hours to confirm the benefits before getting back to the member about what their cost share would be. This is something that's very, very important to us, being transparent about that member cost share at time of sign up, because we want it to be crystal clear. What is that copay going to be? You know, what is that member cost share going to be? And then one of the benefits that we're extending to the Prestige PEO is that we have made the community free. So at sign up, there is a custom code that we've created for Prestige PEO worksite employees, as you can see here at the top. And this is included in all the materials, including within the Prestige PEO benefits site, the 7EJ54 code. When it's entered at sign up, it waives the $14.99 per month community fee. So normally, when members come and sign up for Monument on a direct-to-consumer basis, they would have that $14.99 per month fee to access our groups, our events, our content. This fee is waived for Prestige PEO worksite employees. And after going through that sign up, there's then the opportunity to get ready for treatment, to explore the different content options. And this is where, again, members can select in and choose different ways to build their knowledge base and start to understand what this journey will look like. And then finally, before we move to questions, just a few testimonials from our members. We see these come in on a daily basis anonymously, but you know, there's some common themes that we see over time that just get reinforced, and a few of them are reflected here. One is that a lot of members come to Monument having found dead ends in the healthcare system when it came to changing their alcohol use. They went to providers who didn't understand how to treat this, who didn't have the sensitivity and the compassion, or even know about the medications that were viable as a treatment option. And so it really can be game changing. That's a phrase we hear really often, that you know, people find this is a very profound change. They found a platform where there are providers who are sensitive to their needs and the challenges and struggles that are germane to unhealthy alcohol use. And then finally, this idea of hope. This is something that people can struggle with for a long time, and it is chronic. This is something that people live with and need to manage for their lives. So the idea of someone who's really faced challenges but found hope with our platform, this is what really inspires us and drives us at Monument to continue building the best possible experience for our members. So with that, I'm going to stop here. There is a QR code I'll leave on the screen for a second. If there are any clinical questions or about our program, we have a support team, and that goes to a secure place where we manage all of those queries. So there is a support at Join Monument email where questions can go to, but I'm also happy to answer, as well as Zach, any questions that you may have today in the time we have left for the webinar. Oops.
All right. Thank you, Dan and Zach. That was such a great presentation, such a valuable benefit. I love that this community platform is free to our Prestige employees. They can access these, you know, self-guided resources, life events, support groups. It's really great. So, and just want to thank you for that, and thank you to everyone for joining us today. The recording of this webinar will be available on our website at prestigepeo.com/webinars. If you have any further questions, feel free to contact your benefits specialist for further assistance. Don't forget to check out your inbox for our monthly Insights newsletter, delivering the latest HR news. Connect with us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter for the latest information at Prestige PEO. And lastly, don't forget to download our Prestige Go mobile app, which provides access to benefits information and on-the-go support from your HR team. Thank you all, and we look forward to seeing you next time.